I wanted to talk to you about a scripture that the Lord laid upon my heart. He wanted me to talk to you about John in the Bible, John chapter 9, verse 4. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. The night cometh when no man can work. We have to preach the gospel, and we got to do it as efficient as we possibly can, because the night's coming when we won't be able to work. They're going to get the mark of the beast, and once they receive the mark of the beast, their lamps will go out, their lights will go out, their soul will go out, and there'll be no forgiveness for them. We won't be able to preach to them because there will be no salvation for them. God won't forgive them. It's over. It's hell for them forever. This kid had a dream that I'm about to read to you. She had a dream, and she dreamt that 85% of the United States had received the mark of the beast. She dreamt that those that did not receive the mark of the beast were treated like outcasts. They were not allowed in buildings, and they were treated. The FBI would look for them, and just treat them like criminals. She dreamt that people would make it. They tried. She said they tried to, as much as they could, to not get the mark for them or their children, but they got tired of living without, and they went ahead and they had their children get the mark, and they got the mark because they wanted their children to have food and a house, and they didn't want their children to live like outcasts. That's what she said. And then once the children got the mark, they would be damned to hell. She said eventually God stopped allowing women to get pregnant. And I'm going to commence now to read her dream. Me, my mom, and my sister were traveling in a car in an empty road. We were in New York City. This was weird because New York is always filled with lights and people, but all there was a few street lights here and there. Times Square was empty. I looked up to the sky, and I saw the crescent moon was blood orange. I remember thinking to myself, I can't wait until the sun comes out tomorrow. Then I had a vision in my dream about the sun exploding and turning colors of purple, blue, orange, and red before it burned out, and just left a black rock, the color of coal, as our sun. Then I returned back to the reality of being in the car, saying to myself, I guess the sun's not coming out in the morning. So she said the sun turned into a big black rock, just like the color of coal, and it wasn't shining. It was not shining. Then I returned back to the reality of being in the car, she writes, saying to myself, I guess the sun's not coming out in the morning. Then me and my mom and my sister were walking down the same street. Then the scene switched to me and my school teacher, and a couple of students were hiding in a warehouse because American fighter planes were hovering around New York City, bombing New York City, destroying it. American fighter planes were destroying New York City. The scene switched once again to me, my mom, and my sister walking on the same street, where my mom says, let's go to Graceland. I said, Mom, the FBI is looking for you, and they'll follow you there. The FBI was looking for her mother because her mother would not get the mark of the beast. Then she replied, listen to me, I'm your mother. The mother said, listen to me, I'm your mother, because the mother wanted them to go to Graceland, because she was under the impression that the United States would not bomb a national monument. So then they went to Graceland, and the gates to enter were broken and black and open. The fighter plane that was following us and had a spotlight out looking for my mom. I said, look, and we looked at the plane, and we started back the way we came, me running, my sister in a slow jog, and my mother walking. Then we ended up on that street again. I felt I had to hide my mother. So we entered a subway platform where there were trains, but the thing was, there was nowhere really to hide because the corners that would have been perfect were illusions because being there was just like not hiding. So me and my mom sat down and my sister went to the bathroom. So they were in the subway, they sat down in the chairs in the subway, the mom and the daughter were sitting there while the other daughter went to the restroom. Then the chairs started to fill with a whole bunch of people, which was weird because there was no one outside except for the people operating the fighter planes. There was an African American homeless man that came in with the crowd, and he was asking if anyone had family around or with them. The African American homeless man was an undercover FBI agent trying to figure out who had family with them or around them so that they would have more leverage in making them accept the mark of the beast, perhaps by torture or separating them or doing all types of crazy stuff. Well, she writes here, my sister came out of the bathroom and sat next to me, and she was just about to say, we're family, but I pinched her and I motioned to be quiet. So my sister didn't say anything. My mom then picked up an old newspaper in the subway. The paper had a picture of the bombing of New York City and had a headline of America. And the paper had a picture of the bombing of New York City and had a headline, and the headline said, America, once a free country, now worse than communist. It was by the New York Times. It was their last print. And then she writes it again. America, once a free country, now worse than communist. And then she draws a picture of New York City bombing, what she saw in her dream. And then she writes, then everything went black, and out of the black, bright white words read, leave this country now, or you will not be able to leave later. So there was, in her dream, it switched to a black background with bright words that read, leave this country now, or you will not be able to leave later. The dream then switched into two scenarios. If I stayed in the state that I was in, or if I left. If I stayed in the state that I was in, I'd be 16 years old, walking on the street alone, because since people had the mark of the beast, I was not allowed in their houses. The people that had the mark of the beast were not allowed to help those that did not have the mark of the beast. They would get in plenty of trouble by the government. There were cameras in each house. The government had placed cameras in each house. And then she saw pregnant women would be shot in the belly and pulled into the street for being pregnant. The scene turned black, and she heard the gunshot. So the Lord didn't allow her to see the woman being shot, but that's what was implied. This was to control population, she writes. Churches were closed, and she saw churches closed, and any Christian organization was shut down. Then the scene switched to the other scenario. She writes, then if I did go, I'd be older and with my mom and sister. We were leaving the country. At the border, it showed my mom telling the booth person what went on, and he gave us a green slip and told us to park behind the border building. He gave us a green slip and told us to park behind the border building, where a sheriff walked up and placed us in a hotel. In the hotel, I was sitting on the bed watching American news. And I saw a YouTube video that I made on TV. The newscast lady said that I was wanted by the government. And she played my video. It was 14 minutes long.